Welcome to the LCCMR meeting. It's June 28th, last day of our presentations. I want to start off with our roll call. So if Diana, if you could start the roll call.
Gibson.
Here.
Gibson present. Hanson.
Here.
Hanson present. Per. Acom.
Present.
Acom present. Albrecht.
Present.
Albrecht present. Backer.
Backer present.
Backer present. Faber.
Faber present.
Faber present. Green. Heinzman. Collins.
Collins present.
Collins present. Langseth.
Langseth present.
Langseth present. Moore.
More present.
Moore present. Peichel.
Peichel present.
Peichel present. Putnam.
Present.
Putnam present. Reese.
Present.
Reese present. Westrom. Currently, there are 12 members present.
All right. Thank you very much, Diana. Now, people need to report any conflicts of interest for today's business. Let's see, Commissioner Reese, I think I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to report a conflict of interest on 2025-078 Riley Hines Agrivoltaics 2.0 and 2025-241 Joel Tolkson Foundational Precision Agriculture Data.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any others? Yes. Commissioner Langseth.
Madam Chair, I would like to recognize a conflict of interest with proposal ID 2025182, Lake Zembro Park Water Access and Site Improvements.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, thank you for that. Yes.
I
Commissioner
couldn't help
Noble.
but notice there was a number of extra commission members present today. Is there a free giveaway or free cake today or something? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah,
Last day on a short day.
Yeah, I
mean,
think Representative Hanson can answer that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioner Faber. It's South St. Paul's Kaposha Days, and last night they had a welcome event, and I won a dessert raffle. So there are hot dog treats that are not hot dogs. They are Twinkies cut in half with a Twix bar and multicolored sugar on top of that. So if you haven't woke up yet, I would.
Yeah.
They're there and I can
All right.
serve, so.
Thank you, Chair Hanson,
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yeah. And I might add, for those of us who like coffee here, apparently we can't get coffee for a half-day meeting. So, yes, I know. So I hope it's chilled coffee. So I hope if you like cold coffee, have at it. Okay. Director Nash, do you have anything you would like to add?
Madam Chair, I think they're all 15-minute presentations today. And just also want to make sure people know we did add on an agenda item. So there is additional item 4C and corresponding materials in your packets. And then we will adjourn this meeting at noon and then give a half-an-hour break for the subcommittee members. And I'm sorry, it's the subcommittee members only that get lunch today. But they will meet then from 12:30 or 30 minutes after we adjourn here until about 2:30 or whenever that work concludes.
Okay. Appreciate that. So the action items at the end are important. Now we have minutes. We need to approve minutes for June 20th and June 21st. Is there a motion?
Still move.
Albrecht. Thank you. Commissioner Albrecht moved. Any comments, concerns? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion prevails. All right, let's get on with our main business for today, the presentations. Let's see here, I have a special sheet here. All right, our first project is line 111. project number 319 by Ashley Colley, Chaska Big Woods property acquisition from the city of Chaska. So Ashley, would you like to join us? And please state your name and then you can begin.
Good morning, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Thank you, chairs and member of the board. We really thank you for your time today. My name is Ashley Colley, and I'm the city planner here with the city of Chaska. I'm joined today by our mayor and chairs of both our Planning and Parks and Rec Commission, as well as other staff, including our city administrator, our Parks and Rec director, and our community development director. We all sincerely appreciate your time this morning. We're very excited about our project and the opportunity to present it to you. The Big Woods is adorned by many today from the Laura Ingalls Wilder books set in the Minnesota Big Woods. It once covered a majority of the 12 south central counties in Minnesota, and these woods were part of a much larger deciduous forest area that surrounded the Twin Cities and spanned up to the Canadian border. That said, Carver County was really considered the heart of the Big Woods, as it contains the largest contiguous area of sugar maple basswood trees in the state. However, over time, clearing for agriculture and development has fragmented and even eliminated the Big Woods from the landscape in many areas. Recently, the city received and has been reviewing a development proposal for a 126-acre site in southwest Chaska, the last remaining area to develop within our community. The proposal is for 162 single-family homes. The site contains roughly 40 acres of remnant bigwood area, which includes very mature stands of trees, some anticipated to be more than 300 years old, bluffs, and woodlands. These natural features offer highly valued scenic and passive recreational views that have become a more scarce resource in post-development environments. The recent development proposal has presented the city's first opportunity to advance its preservation and open space goals for this property since it was originally acquired by the current property owner's family in the late 1870s. These preservation and open space goals are deeply rooted in gathered community input, which continues to rank the protection of natural resources as the highest priority for future initiatives within our community. They are also formally outlined in our city's 2040 Comprehensive Guide Plan. Preservation of roughly half of the 40 acres bigwood remnant would occur by way of the city's tree, slope, and wetland preservation and protection ordinances and through park dedication. We're here today requesting assistance and support to require and preserve the developable area within the Big Woods. This acquisition is significantly important to us as it's adjacent to property owned by School District 112, who plans to construct a future elementary school just to the north, and a 52-acre site owned by the city planned for a future community park. Beginning this fall, the city will begin its planning effort to further develop the plans for this park. The focus is a universal playground and a Miracle League baseball field to be accessible to persons at all levels and abilities. Our requested $557,000 would allow the acquisition of the 5.72 acres of developable Big Woods area. This area would serve as a link between the future school and All Abilities Park to the more natural, unprogrammed recreational area that not only contains old grove trees, but also visual vistas of the Minnesota River and its bluffs. Most importantly, not only would the acquisition allow for the preservation of this important and disappearing natural resource in perpetuity, but it would make it publicly available amenity to provide educational, recreational, and ecological benefits to not only our community, but also our region. So thank you, and we'll turn it back to you for any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions? Commissioner Faber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for the presentation, Ms. Colley. I have a question specific to the Big Woods, aspects of the Big Woods. Do you have any, if we should support this particular acquisition, have you spoken with any, or do you have any plans about what you might want to do to maintain the Big Woods? Whether or not you're familiar, St. John's Arboretum up at St. John's University has arguably the largest tract of the big woods left, about 2,500 acres, I think, and we have supported them with some acquisition in previous years. And they have a pretty active program because if I'm not mistaken, one part of the ecology of the big woods is fire, prescribed fire as far as a maintenance tool or a, a part of the management. So I want to know if you've spoken to anyone or you have somebody on staff, so that you're able, it's not just about set it aside, let it be. What might you be able to share with us about that? Thank you.
Ms. Colley?
That's a great question. The development proposal came in this year. And so we submitted our application in order to start that preservation. As part of this work, we would continue those conversations and would certainly reach out to that arboretum for guidance. But our anticipation at this point is that we would educate our public works staff and include it as part of our parks management program.
Glad to hear that. Thank you.
Other questions from the commission? Any online? Yes, Commissioner Pike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What's the planned disposition of the rest of the Friends property apart from outlots J and G?
Ms. Colley?
There are a number of other outlots. Some of them would be acquired again by the city for the protection of the slopes and the wetlands through our ordinances. Some of it is through park dedication, and then the remainder would be for 162 single-family residential homes.
Follow up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It seems like there's a significant chunk of big woods there outside of the red boundary on the attachment you submitted. So I was surprised at the amount there. Is it just because of the budget that the intention is not to select the entire big woods remnant that's there?
Ms. Colley?
Sure. So there is a portion of the Big Woods area that would continue to be owned by the current property owner.
Follow up? Did you have a comment?
If I might emerge from the trees, I can help too. So there is a section,
Please
large
identify
component.
yourself for the commission. Please
Oh,
identify
sorry.
yourself.
My name is Nate Cabot. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Chaska. There is a large component of that Big Woods area that is preserved through city's ordinance already because it is wooded steep slope areas. And there's also a large wetland complex within that Big Woods area that our ordinance thereby preserves as well. And so what we're really targeting here are the portions, which they're few, of the Big Woods that does not either meet a wooded steep slope area or a wetland area, and therefore has the potential for development to occur. So really trying to target those areas with the funding that we're requesting.
All right. Other questions? I just had a quick question. Tell me about the integrity of this forest. Are there many invasive species creeping in there like buckthorn? Any problems with some of the trees catching disease? If you could answer that for me, thank you.
So as part of our, we've started some analysis as part of the development, reviewing the status of the Big Woods and the quality of the trees. And we would continue that work beyond this time. And whether or not we get this proposal, we would evaluate those trees. I think the tours that we've done of the Big Woods thus far have shown that there is buckthorn in there. And so we would be pursuing some mitigation for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Senator Green.
Thank you. I'm wondering, does the city of Chaska have any parks now? How many, and if so, how many parks you have in the city now?
Ms. Colley?
Sorry, I had a hard time hearing the question. Are you asking how many parks are within the community?
Yes.
Senator Green.
I'm going to turn that over to the Parks and Rec Director.
Hello, my name's
Please.
Marshall Grange and I'm the Parks and Rec Director. So as far as the number of parks in Chaska, we have 4 other community-sized parks, and then we've got right around 33 neighborhood parks. And so it's been a strategic goal of ours to make sure that there's access to parks for everybody that lives within a half a mile. And so this 52 acre site, has been part of our comprehensive plan, and it's actually going to be the last community sized park in Chaska before we fully develop. So as Ashley mentioned, we're going to be working on developing a master plan for that park coming up this fall, and are really excited about this opportunity for that to be adjacent to this Big Woods area and some of those natural opportunities that can coexist with that future park.
The follow-up?
Just a comment, because it seems like you've got a lot of parks in the city of Chaska. And from what I'm listening, it doesn't sound like you really need this. You simply want to buy it to prevent it from being developed. And I guess that's fine, but you're asking for a lot of money for something that really doesn't seem necessary for your city.
Any comments on that?
Thank you for that comment. And, we're excited about this area particularly because it presents an opportunity with the proximity to the elementary school and the community park to really get people outdoors and experience the Big Woods in a way that they wouldn't otherwise be able to, or residents within our community who don't have immediate access to local state parks to be able to get that access within their backyard or within walking distance. And so we do, included in our application is also our thoughts for what we would do within the park or within the acquisition area to bring people from that community park and the elementary school into the Big Woods by way of educational signage and informal trails and some benches to really help bring people out and experience the outdoors.
Commissioner Reese?
My question was asked. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Albrecht?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you tell me, what's the population of Chaska, and for the Parks Director, do you know about how many acres of parks you have?
Ms.
And
Colley? Or
It's
I-
the population is about 28,000, but I didn't catch the second part. Sorry, it's very quiet on our end.
Do you know the number of acres of parks in your city? Ms. Colley?
I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head, but we have a lot of natural resources and green space within Chaska. As I mentioned, the number of community parks and neighborhood parks, along with we do have 2 municipally operated golf courses that present a lot of great acreage for natural resources as well.
Follow-up?
Thank you. Having worked in a community that has a lot of parks and has been acquiring parks, I'm kind of familiar with the idea of what's the average number of acres that a city would have per person or per thousand. And it's usually around 10 acres per thousand people. So, if you have 250 to 300 acres of park, I think that's a good number. And it seems as though adding this is it 4.5 acres? I was just looking at your presentation.
Yeah, hold on.
About, is it 42 acres or 572? 5.72, yeah. So it's not a large acreage, and I doubt that it's gonna be more, you're trying to reach a goal where everybody has an opportunity to visit a park that meets their need, whether that's a playground or a waterfront or riverfront or walk in the woods or a nature trail. So I think having a mix of parks in a number of different areas. I appreciate that you're thinking about having a neighborhood park within a half-hour walk or a half mile of a neighborhood. That's another benchmark that is pretty well accepted. And so the fact that you're going to preserve these big woods is just icing on the cake, I think. So thanks.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the commission? Yes, Commissioner Pike.
Do you have any programming planned to go with this acquisition to really bring people in instead of passive facility building?
Ms. Colley?
Yeah, thank you. The development of the programming within the acquisition part would be part of our funding request. But we anticipate that post-acquisition, we would implement trails, benches, and educational signage throughout the big woods.
Okay, follow up. Okay. Oh, Senator Westrom has checked in for the record. Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Let's move on.
Thank you.
To evaluation line 103. It's project number 182. We're in the land acquisition, habitat, and recreation segment. We're going to hear from Carlin Ziegler on Lake Zimbro Park water access and site improvements. Carlin, are you here?
Yes, I am here. Thank you,
Okay,
Chair
please,
Gibson and
introduce-
commissioners.
Yes, please introduce yourself and then you can start.
Yes, my name is Carlin Ziegler. I'm the Olmsted County Parks Director, Southeast Minnesota area. Olmsted County has 4 different parks in our system, Lake Zimbro Park being one of them. This is the smallest of our parks. We have 1 acre, 1.3 acres to start off with, which was just a small peninsula. And in 2019, we acquired 3 more acres of land through a land purchase or land swap for other parkland. This area had a restaurant on it and a private boat launch sitting on Lake Zimbro. And when we purchased it, we were excited to be able to turn this back into a public boat launch. If you know Southeast Minnesota, we are unfortunate to not have very many lakes in our area, much like are different from the rest of the state. So Lake Zimbro really is one of the only lakes in our area, so it is very heavily used. So to be able to provide the public boat launch was really essential to this lake and the recreation on the lake. It is also in the territory of Wabasha County. There is one very small boat launch in Wabasha County as well on the opposite side of this lake. But this being the only public boat launch in Olmsted County, it was a very important purchase for us to do that. Since the purchase, we have removed the restaurant and a lot of the buildings that went along with it, and we have made some minor improvements to the dock systems. But overall, the property really needs a lot of enhancement. The parking lot itself is in really rough shape. It's got some steep inclines in the parking areas, and it really is just too small already to be handling the demand that we're seeing in this park. The parking lot is full in the middle of the week, and on the weekends, it is overflowing and going all the way down the highway road. People are parking on the shoulders. So we're really looking at trying to expand and improve the parking lot area, and the boat launch itself is in need of some updates and repairs. The DNR has some jurisdiction over the boat launch, and they are in very much support of this project. We already have some agreements with them for support and help with the rehab of the boat launch. We'll be working closely with the DNR to make sure that we do things correctly and within the standards. But on top of that, we just want to make sure that the park feels a bit more like a park, has some cohesive elements to it. Connectivity between the boat launch and the pier itself, including trails and more accessible ways to get around from place to place. We do try and keep the recreation a little bit separate as far as the motorized boating, keeping it a bit separate from the fishing that happens and the kayak and canoeing. So we have those on opposite ends of the park. On either side of me, you can see the pier and then the boat launch on the other side. So the fishing piers are also very heavily used, but minimally updated since the 1970s when we took over the pier. So to add new piers, a little bit more habitat with those fishing piers and enhance the overall usage of the park. Give people a place to go on Lake Zumbro Park is really what we're aiming for. The accessibility and access to the lake is heavily needed in this area and on this lake. So we're hoping to build a shelter, give people a place to go. This is also an area that is on a regional water trail route. So it's a stopping point. People can pull off, have a picnic. They can continue to do the fishing and just be a little bit more family friendly area for folks to enjoy in Southeast Minnesota. So that is what we are aiming for, is more accessibility, a really nice, cohesive, visually appealing park for people to stop at.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the commission? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation.
Madam Chair.
Hold on. Hand went up. Commissioner Reese.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My apologies. It takes a little bit to get off mute. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Siegler. I was just curious, where is this in proximity to Rochester? Is it 10, 20 miles away, or is it closer than that?
Ms. Siegler?
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, it is about 10 miles north of Rochester to the northeast.
And do you have you said that it's being or it's exceeding its capacity at this point in time. Do you have an idea of how many people utilize the facility right now for summer?
At this point, we don't have any official numbers or counts. We kind of go by how often we're up there and see the parking lots full. But it is on a weekend basis that it is always full during the summertime from usually early May through September. We do see full parking lots and overflowing parking lots on the weekends through those months. But we do not have any official car counter or numbers to go by yet. We're going to be looking into streetlight data, see if we can utilize any of that data.
Follow-up?
Follow-up question, Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
Do you have any other plans for development in this area, campgrounds or anything like that, of that nature?
Ms. Siegler?
Thank you. In this particular area, this 4-acre park is pretty much landlocked with other residents that we have not heard of selling land to add on to this particular park. And in other areas, there are a couple of different campgrounds. I have not heard of any other agencies, whether it's the city of Orinoco or private campgrounds popping up in the area. But Lake Zumbro, our city of Orinoco, has also been trying to make some improvements within Orinoco to the river that leads into Lake Zumbro. There are a couple of campgrounds around the area, but not specifically right close to this property.
Thank you, and it looks like a worthy project.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions from the commission? All right, thank you very much, Ms. Siegler.
Thank you.
Okay, next project is line item 101, project number 114, RTA Maintenance Trail Stabilization Project by Carly Whitner. Guys, Ms. Whitner, are you on? If you would,
yes,
if you
I
are,
am
introduce yourself and then you can start.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for selecting the City of Eden Prairie to present for funding for our Richard T. Anderson Trail Stabilization Project. I'm Carly Whitner, the Forestry and Natural Resources Supervisor, along with my fellow colleagues from the Parks and Engineering departments. Richard T. Anderson Conservation Area, or RTA for short, is a gem to the ecological community as an example of a high-quality remnant prairie and big woods plant communities, providing critical habitat to numerous species, including the endangered rusty patch bumblebee, threatened kittentails, and special concern lark sparrow. The project is located in the southwest corner of Hennepin County along the Minnesota River Valley. This area is the ancestral and current homelands to the Dakota people who still utilize RTA for gathering medicines or sacred plants. Not only is this area important culturally, but also regionally, with over 100,000 visitors a year escaping to RTA for an oasis in nature in an otherwise urban area. This importance is also shown through our various partnerships that have contributed in collaborative projects such as educational signage, environmental programming, volunteer events, and ecological work. These partners include Writers Rising Up, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Friends of Eden Prairie Parks, and the Shakopee Metawakan Sioux community. Hennepin County and the Lower Minnesota River Watershed District are ongoing partners, excited to continue to provide additional support through technical guidance, funding, or additional resources to support project success. The legacy and awareness of the ecological and cultural importance of RTA makes us feel that it is our duty as the stewards of RTA to protect this valuable resource, not only for our city, but for our entire state and region. In 2017, during the reconstruction of Flying Cloud Drive, the Lower Minnesota River Watershed District discovered large amounts of sedimentation occurring from RTA flowing directly into the impaired Minnesota River. This water quality concern led the city and watershed district to examine erosion concerns through RTA, identifying the imminent threat of slope failure adjacent to the only paved trail within the conservation area as a high priority for public safety, water quality, and protecting the remnant prairies. The sandy soils, steep slopes, and encroaching red cedars have made it impossible to address the erosion through vegetation reestablishment alone. The increase in heavy rainfall events due to climate change will only exacerbate the problem, as seen in the last few months. The impending slope failure will damage one of the last remaining remnant prairies in Hennepin County with less than 1% left. If nothing is done, the city will need to consider closure of the paved trail that provides accessibility within the park. This would be a huge loss for our community and region, as many people use this trail as a connection to the regional trails and provides an easier walking path for people with limited mobility to enjoy the special prairies found in RTA. To gain a better understanding of how the city can prevent a future slope failure, city staff partnered with an environmental engineering firm to develop a solution that would have a minimal impact to natural resources, while also providing a long-term solution to the erosion problems. The proposed solution includes a 700-foot retaining wall of varying heights to shore up the hillside that will be designed to have a minimal impact on desirable native ecosystems. An innovative solution that is currently being explored to reduce the retaining wall length is utilizing a vegetated wall system with a geogrid to hold the soil in place with native plants. This could provide some cost savings and help maintain a more natural appearance within our conservation area. In conjunction with the construction project, an important aspect will be restoring the adjacent remnant prairie. Red cedars currently dominate the remnant prairie adjacent to the proposed retaining wall, impacting the native vegetation. In the slope's current condition, removing the red cedars alone will cause further erosion concerns. The stabilization of the slope will allow for safe removal of the cedars to restore the remnant prairie. Overall, the cost estimate of the project is $738,000. Utilizing both solutions of constructing a retaining wall and restoring the degraded remnant prairie will provide long-term stabilization that protects the critical habitats and provides safe access for visitors of all ages to explore native Minnesota prairies. The city has secured a portion of the needed funding in our capital improvements projects budget and is ready and eager to do this project. With this project, we feel that we can fulfill our duty as the stewards of RTA to protect this valuable resource, not only for our city, but for the entire state and region. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, and with that, I can take any questions that you may have.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Whitner. Are there questions from the commission? Yes, Representative Hollins. Oh, then you too. You're on.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for
Yes.
the presentation. My question is, we know this is going to be an ongoing issue, this erosion, right? I mean, it started now and it's going to keep, obviously, everything that's happening right now shows that it's going to keep going. My question is, are retaining walls truly the best solution for, preventing or mitigating that erosion? And then I have a follow-up question.
Ms. Whitner?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, for that question. We explored many options. So we had multiple of engineering firms and an internal engineering, come and explore this problem together, and we left it open-ended, like we wanted to seek what the best solution would be in order to address those erosion concerns. And all of them said that that a retaining wall was the only viable solution. We are looking into that vegetated geogrid system to try to reduce that length, and they're currently, trying to figure out if that is a viable option.
Okay, follow up, Representative Hollins.
Yes, just really quickly. And just based on my experience, and I'm sure you're already addressing this, but retaining walls fall apart and they're very expensive to maintain, like possibly even more expensive to shore up than to put in place. And we've had issues in St. Paul where different segments of the government will not take responsibility for the retaining walls. So is there a plan for who is going to be responsible for shoring up those retaining walls when they start to crumble? And maybe making sure that's very, very explicit so that when you all have moved on to whatever you're doing in 10 years, you know who's in charge of it. That's a recommendation / question.
Thank you, Ms. Whitney.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for that question as well. That is something that we are thinking about, is what that long-term solution will be. So we did have that included with our engineering plans, that they will include what that long-term maintenance will be when the city takes over the continual maintenance of that retaining wall. And I will pass over if our parks construction supervisor wants to add any additional comments.
Yeah, my name is Jason. I'm the Parks Construction Supervisor for the City of Eden Prairie. The part of exploring the opportunity to do a vegetated wall would be to extend the life of the wall. It would utilize natural plant root systems to shore up the hillside. It's also made out of materials that don't degrade very quickly over time. The retaining wall product that we're looking at is actually a big block wall system. The wall stone itself has a 75-year warranty right from the get-go. So that product warranty would help if there was any kind of material failure with the wall, but it would also provide a pretty lengthy lifespan and allow ample time to plan for replacement when the wall does start to deteriorate in time. I think that's all I have about that. Yeah.
Anything else? Nope, you're good. Okay. Commissioner Reese.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I can see the restoration part being eligible for ENTRF funding, but the retaining wall seems to be more maintenance, and we have responsibility not to supplant dollars for services like maintenance. And use the LCCMR and Environmental Natural Resource Trust Fund for things that add and enhance natural resources of the state. Is this, you talked a little bit about the retaining wall itself. I think I could justify it if it was a demonstration of a new technology or novel approach using natural features. Is that what this is, or is this simply just maintenance?
Ms. Whitner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the Commissioner for that question. So this is going to be a new retaining wall, so it's not necessarily for maintenance. That's addressing a new erosion concern that we have. It's also, without building this retaining wall, we're going to end up losing that remnant prairie through slope failure and continual soil loss. I don't know, I don't know if our parks construction has anything else to add.
To answer part of that question, that's really why we started exploring these geogrid wall systems to go in place, so that we could, keep it as much of a natural remedy to the issue that we have. Another part of it too is, in order to restore the prairie that's adjacent to it, there's going to be vegetation removal that needs to take place to allow light to enter that area that otherwise wouldn't, because of the trees that are there, and really quite a few of those trees, or most of them, are cedars in place. So in the process of removing that vegetation, to be able to achieve the restoration of that prairie, we need something that's gonna, help us to shore up that hillside. Otherwise, the restoration work without the retaining wall would likely fail. And then if we were to remove the vegetation, we would just speed up that erosion taking place. It would be very difficult for us to try to get plant vegetation to shore that up as quickly as we would need it to, without losing more of the prairie and really losing the adjacent trail that provides an access right through the middle of that conservation area.
Okay, follow up, Commissioner?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I realize the retaining wall is new construction, but it's maintenance for the trail itself. When was the trail? I see the trail was a farm road, I believe it was described as. When was the trail enhanced by the city once it was, or the parks once it was purchased? And then the second part of that question is related to Representative Holland's comments. There's this ongoing request that he wants to keep ENTRF funding the maintenance of this trail and the retaining wall?
Ms. Whitner?
Thank you for that. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, for that question. I'm going to have our Parks and Natural Resources Manager respond.
Hello,
Please
Chair and Commission.
introduce yourself.
I'm Matt Bourne, Parks and Natural Resources Manager for the City of Eden Prairie. That trail was enhanced when we took over the area and kind of developed the conservation area. The trail is just like any of our other kind of park trails, is part of our maintenance, redoing overlays, mill and overlay, seal coating, any of that. The trail is in good condition. It's the slope above the trail that the retaining wall would be protecting.
Okay, thank you very much. I had a quick question. Can you give me or give us any updates? You've done look sort of an impressive non-trust funds that you're trying to match, and you've secured a couple and you've listed 3 as potential. Can you give us any update on the success or non-success of that?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners, again for that question. So we have secured funding from the Lower Minnesota River Watershed District that has been approved like this last spring for I believe it was $48,000 for a project that is nearby an RTA for another trail concern that we have. And then we just submitted a grant application to the Hennepin County for their opportunity grant for additional funding for that erosion concerns. That was for $50,000. And then we also have been utilizing Hennepin County funds for through the Environmental Trust for helping to restore our remnant prairies. There's 5 remnant prairies located in RTA. The one that is directly adjacent to this retaining wall has not been restored yet.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
On to our next project. Almost on time here. Evaluation line 109. Proposal ID 236. Dave Schaefer and Katie Bennett are going to be presenting on the Thumb Storm Chalet and Outdoor Recreation Center. What?
We've heard from a few of the presenters that they're having a hard time hearing us. Can you just?
Madam Chair and members, I'm Dave Schaefer, the Executive Director of the Chester Bowl Improvement Club, speaking in support of our Tom Storm Chalet and Outdoor Recreation Center project. Chester Bowl is a nonprofit organization partnering with the City of Duluth to provide programming and educational opportunities in Chester Park. Chester Park is a unique area with 135 acres containing nearly 6 miles of multi-use trails a designated trout stream known for its spectacular waterfalls and swimming holes, a playground, a stage for events, a sports field, and a small one chairlift alpine hill. All of this is in the middle of Duluth, within walking distance of thousands of neighbors. It truly feels like an urban wilderness. Chester Bowl runs programs in Chester Park, with the Outdoor Recreation Center serving as our home base and the heart of the park. Chester Bowl programming includes an environmental education-based summer camp, a winter ski and snowboard program, the free summer concert series, Fall Fest, and so much more. On the surface, this simply looks like a project to renovate a building. But at a deeper level, this is a grant request that will increase environmental education and outdoor recreation opportunities, especially for low-income and other underserved communities in Duluth. Help protect Chester Park's natural resources, provide youth leadership development, and inspire the next generation of those who care about and protect the natural world. Chester Bowl exists to ensure that environmental education and outdoor recreation programming are available to anyone. We know that summer camp, skiing, and snowboarding are too expensive for most families to be able to afford. Because of grant support as a nonprofit, Chester Bowl is able to price programs to be affordable to most, and in 2024, we awarded $57,000 in scholarships to those low-income families who could not afford participation fees. Unfortunately, the current building's significant deficiencies limit our ability to fully serve the community, and the center is in desperate need of replacement. The building is too small for our program demand. Programs have nearly doubled in size over the last 10 years, and prospective summer camp families have had to be turned away due to lack of physical space. In addition, the center is not ADA accessible, the heating system is extremely energy inefficient, and the building overall is in a state of advanced disrepair. To remedy these problems and to ensure that we can fully serve our community, Chester Bowl and the City of Duluth will be reconstructing and expanding the center to improve accessibility and sustainability and better meet the community's nature-based recreation and education needs. The building's foundation is in excellent shape and will be maintained. Everything else will be rebuilt and replaced. By building upon an existing foundation and growing from 2 stories to 3, we are preserving the trout stream just outside our doors. The footprint will be increased somewhat to add an elevator, and the overall square footage will be nearly doubled. All mechanical systems are being rebuilt, with the entire project meeting B3 sustainability standards. Our project outcomes include enhancing understanding of the importance of natural resource protection, conservation, and preservation through programming based out of the center, promoting access to programming for all populations regardless of income, socioeconomic status, age, or mobility, preserving and protecting Chester Creek, an urban trout stream, through sustainable reconstruction of the center that is next to the creek, and creating a high-quality nature and recreation center to expand outdoor recreational and environmental education opportunities, which are currently limited by inadequate infrastructure. I want to share one specific story to illustrate the kind of impact Chester Bowl can have. A low-income single mom with 3 girls moved to Duluth and were able to be part of Chester programs because they received scholarships. The oldest was 13 and had a special affinity for Chester, progressing from a participant in both winter and summer programs to a teen volunteer to a paid staff member. Because of her love for environmental education and recreational programming, Lauren went to college to achieve her dream of a career in these fields. As a recent college graduate, she now works with the Anne Bancroft Foundation, administering a grant program that gives girls the resources they need to achieve their own dreams, a full circle moment. Our Growing Up Chester fundraising campaign has been very successful. We've already raised our minimum $950,000 match and will continue to fundraise as needed to support the project and programs. If we were awarded funding through LCCMR, we would be ready to implement the project immediately. By nearly doubling the square footage of the building, designing for sustainability, and ensuring that the space is available to anyone, the Tom Storm Chalet and Outdoor Recreation Center will be able to serve the needs of the community for generations to come, providing environmental education and outdoor recreation programming, leading people to love, protect, and preserve Chester Park and other natural areas, and making a positive impact on the lives of children and families. Thank you for considering this proposal. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Langseth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, for your presentation. This piece on how the construction of the new center, How exactly will that impact the trout stream? You're saying through the construction that it will actually preserve and protect this trout stream. Can you talk a little bit more about that, please?
Yes, Mr. Schaefer?
Madam Chair and members, there's two stages to this project. This is actually phase two. So the larger project had two portions. The first part is complete. So I would say the first part of the answer to that question is that we had the big flood in 2012 up in Duluth, and that washed out dams that had been in the creek. And then at that point, we went from having a pond between the chalet and the Alpine Hill to having a creek. So stage one of this project was building a bridge to have that access over the creek without having impounded water through the dams. The second part of that is looking at construction. We're in an area where we did not want to build any closer to the creek. We would have needed variances to do it, but by concentrating growth vertically, instead of trying to get closer to the creek, we're just keeping activity away from the creek so we wouldn't disrupt that stream ecosystem.
Do you have follow-up? Yes, Commissioner Langseth.
Yeah, thank you. So there's really nothing right now in terms of construction that will actually be improving or protecting the trout stream. You're just saying that you're not going to be expanding the center to potentially impact the trout stream.
Mr. Schaefer?
Madam Chair and members, yes, that's correct. I should also mention that the county, along with other entities, did do a complete creek reconstruction in 2016 to create a pool and riffle system right in front of the chalet, between the chalet and the Alpine Hill.
Follow-up? Other questions from commissioners? Commissioner Reese?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would you, thank you for your presentation, Mr. Schaefer. I would like to know, do you consider this a statewide resource? Because I like traveling to Duluth and taking in sights and scenes in the North Shore. Frankly, I haven't never heard of this before. And or do you consider it more of a local resource? That's question number one, and I'd like a follow-up afterwards.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer?
Madam Chair and members, we definitely are a regional resource. We do, as far as the data collection goes, we have one Chester family who has found 40 license plates of visitors parked in the center parking lot. We don't have visitor data because the park is used casually by so many folks, whether it's hiking those trails, spending time at the playground, picnicking. It is someplace that the locals know and love and come to, but we also are a destination. The park also has such a deep history with the ski jumping that used to happen in the park that we talk to lots of folks who are not living in Duluth anymore. And when they come back to visit, the number one thing they need to do is visit Chester Bowl. After the Lake Walk in Duluth, we are the second most used park in Duluth.
Did you have a follow-up, Mr.?
Yes, Madam Chair. So these are the types of projects that stimulated quite a bit of debate in the past in the LCCMR. One reason is this is definitely a pure capital improvement projects. Have you explored that route, going to request capital bond at the state legislature?
Mr. Schaefer?
Madam Chair and members, we have had conversations with Duluth leadership, former Mayor Larson and now current Mayor Reinert, about that possibility. We all know that the bonding priorities did not get passed in any way this last year. So looking at the priorities of Duluth, I know there's a few major projects that are their primary ones that they would like to put forward in this bonding session, or this coming bonding session. It is something that we will continue to pursue. We're also looking at other grant support for this. And then the community fundraising campaign that has raised nearly $1 million towards this project has also been very successful.
With a follow-up, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
Just circling back to the local and regional aspect, one project that Environmental Natural Resource Trust Fund funded was the National Loon Center, and that had, in my perspective at least, had considerable outreach and educational components to it, almost curriculum. Do you have that type of programming available? And does it have national reach?
Mr. Schaefer?
Madam Chair, members, our two primary programs as far as directly implementing program in the community. One of them is our ski and snowboard program, which I wouldn't say it's curriculum based other than our lessons, of course. But that has a regional reach with folks visiting here as well as lots of local Duluthians. Our other main program is happening now. That is our summer day camp. We have up to 125 campers a day spread out through 3 different locations in the park. And that is, as I mentioned, environmental education based. That is primarily used by people in Duluth. So I wouldn't say it's a national curriculum, and we're not doing outreach I'm not familiar with the Loon Center, but if they're doing national outreach, it sounds like that type of programming. It's not something that we do.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Pickel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If this is a regional asset, have you sought regional designation from Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails?
Mr. Schaefer?
Madam Chair and members, we have talked with city leadership about applying for that membership. I am not a city staff person, but my understanding is there's a limit to number of regional designated parks such as Spirit Mountain and others, and that the city is at the limit of that. I can't speak to exactly the process of that. Reading the designation categories, I think that we would be eligible, but we have not yet applied for that status for the park.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And a separate question, completely unrelated. What is the transit accessibility for this location, and how are you bringing low income or uncarded individuals to this site?
Mr. Schaefer?
Madam Chair and members, we are about 1/3 of a mile from the nearest Duluth Transit Authority stop. I mean, actually, our summer campers, when we go on field trips off-site, we often take the DTA because we want kids to be able to use the bus. Knowing that in the winter, it is a challenge for folks to carry ski and snowboard gear that far. People would be able to leave their gear here at the chalet in between usage just to make that easier. We did also do some pilot projects trying to figure out the transportation barriers because we know that that is one of the biggest problems for low-income families. One example of that is we partnered with Mentor Duluth, which is a local mentoring agency, to give free lessons and equipment to their matches. And in those cases, we actually had a lesson series for just members of Mentor Duluth. So it was a cohort taking lessons together, and then their mentors were able to drive them to Chester Park. We also are in the middle of a neighborhood, so it is very common to see folks walking here, whether that's from University of Minnesota Duluth just around the corner or the local homes with their skis over their shoulder. It is close enough for many people to get here that way. And on the west side of the creek, zip code 55805 is a fairly low income neighborhood.
Any further questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I had a note that we need to speak into the microphone. People are having a hard time hearing us when we ask questions, so I will do the same. All right, we're on to evaluation line 110, project number 293, Echo Bay County Park Phase 1 by Kevin Felburn. Kevin, if you're there, if you introduce yourself, then you can start.
Good morning, Chair Gibson and LCCMR members. My name is Kurt Mortensen, Chair of the Otter Tail County Board of Commissioners. Joining me today is Kevin Felbaum, Otter Tail County Parks and Trails Director. Thank you for this opportunity to tell you about Echo Bay Park Project. In 2006, a developer received approval to construct a preserve at Echo Bay. The 165-acre development was to include 209 housing units, 60 boat slips, a golf course, and many other community amenities along the shore of Pelican River and 261-acre Fish Lake. Shortly after receiving the necessary permitting and approval to begin construction, the development stalled. This country experienced the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. As a result, a businessman and philanthropist acquired the property. This is a suit and tie type of person, someone who has spent more time in a boardroom than in the outdoors. But he purchased this property because of his fond childhood memories of Echo Bay, his exploration of Fish Lake, the Otter Tail River, and the surrounding woods. I had the opportunity to join him on a pontoon ride of this area where he shared many of his childhood memories of camping on the shores, canoeing on the waters, and exploring the woodlands. His childhood experiences were so profound and impactful, he wanted other children and families to experience this remarkable property. To achieve that vision, the owner donated Echo Bay to Otter Tail County for use as a park. Because of Echo Bay's conservation easement and pristine natural features, we have worked closely with the Minnesota Land Trust to ensure that any park enhancements conform with the conservation easement and increase the public's understanding of the need for better conservation, preservation, and restoration of critical habitats and landscapes. This brings me to the opportunity we are proposing to address with your support. Since receiving the property in 2021, public access has been limited to foot traffic to protect the habitat, native species, and water quality. However, traffic is increasing and public interest is growing to access this property. This property would allow us to expand access to the park as was originally intended, while simultaneously protecting its natural features. Increasing free public outdoor recreational opportunities is a priority for Otter Tail County, as identified in our long-range strategic plan. Despite having 1,048 lakes and significant natural resources, they are not equally accessible by all community members. This is how we are proposing we address this opportunity. LCCMR funding would be used to complete phase 1 of the Echo Bay Park Master Plan. Specifically, phase 1 includes the construction of 1 mile of access roads that will bring visitors into the heart of the property. Phase 1 also includes the construction of 2 parking areas with 60 vehicle capacity along the 4,000-foot and 10-foot wide paved access trails, providing 2 different access points to Fish Lake from the parking areas. Finally, phase 1 would include the construction of vault toilets at each parking area. While funding will allow for increased access to outdoor recreation by the public, phase 1 of the master plan is particularly important for habitat protection. Currently, the public has unfettered foot access across this property. This funding would allow us to create designated corridors for the public to access this park. As you can see from our application, this project will result in several important outcomes, but I'd like to comment briefly on one of those. As I mentioned earlier, despite being a lake-rich county, our lakes are not equally accessible to all people. This project will provide access and encourage participation in outdoor recreation. I am particularly optimistic about the opportunity that it will provide for members of racially and ethnically diverse cultures who have not traditionally benefited from outdoor opportunities and resources. Pelican Rapids, 8 miles south of Echo Bay Park, is considered one of the most culturally diverse communities in this state. Hispanic, Vietnamese, Bosnian, and Somalia refugees have migrated to this historically white rural community. One of my fellow commissioners loves to share that there are 18 different languages spoken in that school. Thank you again for the opportunity to tell you about the Echo Bay Park project. I hope you can see how passionate I am, my fellow commissioners are, and other stakeholders are about this project. Echo Bay is an excellent example of achievement through public and private partnerships. As I mentioned, this project was made possible by the notable and generous donation of a private citizen. The Otter Tail County Board has committed over $500,000 from our Parks and Trails Fund as a match for this application. The county funding will be used for design, engineering, permitting, and other planning to get this project ready for construction. With your support and funding, we will be able to complete construction. Thank you again for your time, and I and Mr. Feldbaum welcome your questions.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the commission? All right, Commissioner Peichel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My first question is, well, first, thank you for presenting to us. I appreciate the detail you provided in the proposal. And thinking about building area C, is there an intent to name the no-name pier, or is it named no-name pier?
To that question, I will defer to Mr. Feldbaum.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the questions. My name is Kevin Feldbaum, the Otter Tail County Parks and Trails Director. Yeah, it just doesn't have a name at this point. I mean, we would work closely with the individual that donated the property to come up with a name for that pier.
Michael Pier. Yeah. Follow up, Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr.
I might recommend naming it after the trust fund if this project is funded. That would be a neat ENRTF pier for fishing opportunity. Looking at the pavement design that you have, there's a lot of construction of potentially impervious surface. Have you considered the sort of impervious pavement or other lower impact design solutions that could maintain the stormwater health of this area?
Mr. Morrison? Or I don't know who wants to answer that.
Madam Chair, Kevin Feldbaum here. I'll answer that. We have not looked into that yet as far as design, but we did have lengthy discussion, obviously, with the property donator and the land trust as far as why we were going with a hard surface pavement to get in, just with the slopes and everything within that county park maintenance. Just from, having to keep gravel on the road and everything, having a hard surface access into the park, and just being able to allow the residents and visitors to the park to kind of stay on that main corridor to get them into the heart of the park. And then from there, parking their vehicles at these lots and then dispersing from there. There was great discussion, as I said, with the land trust about that being kind of one of their high priorities in order to, as you can see within our master plan, it's a 165 acre parcel. Within that 165 acres, there's the 3 or 4 envelopes where it's roughly around 6 to 7 acres where that's where we would be doing any infrastructure updates. So, for the most part, the entirety of the park would remain untouched.
Madam Chair and members, if I may just supplement to Mr. Feldbaum's comments on that. Also consistent with the wishes and the understanding of the donation of the property to Otter Tail County were the concepts of preservation of this area and also public benefit. And I know the county has worked closely with the Minnesota Land Trust to recognize both of those goals, and a hard surface was identified as the best way to accomplish both the preservation of that area and also access to the public. Thank you.
Senator Westrom.
Madam Chair, presenter to the presenter, you talked about the development that originally was starting in 2006, I think. Did some of those homes become developed and then it stopped, and so is there some residential areas close to this that also benefit, or did the whole development never get off the ground with residents? And then
Mr.
second,
Morrison?
what kind of numbers do you see in a year? I know you're just starting, but any estimate of how many people have enjoyed this on a yearly basis so far?
Mr. Morrison?
Madam Chair and members, thank you for that question. I'll respond to the first part of that question in terms of the intended development. It is a development that never got off the ground, in large part because of the economic downturn that the country experienced at that time, which allowed for the opportunity of this private philanthropist to purchase the property, to specifically protect it as he remembered it through his childhood memories. The second part of that question, I'll defer to Mr. Feldbaum.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Senator, I can answer that second part. So to this point, we've limited access as far as not allowing vehicles onto the property at the discretion of the land trust, as we did not want to disturb any of the natural habitat that's within the park. We do not have hard data as far as the amount of usage because it would be solely foot traffic at this point. But the county is currently moving forward with a plan to gain software, Placer AI, where we'll be able to track cell phone pings and data as far as where people are coming from and going to the facility. So, I mean, our plan is here, you know, as we continue to add parks and trails to our portfolio, that we would have that data readily available on usage and where the usage is coming from.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment. Thank you for that information. That kind of underscores maybe the importance of this, because certainly maybe more elderly people are not going to access it if they can't get down there with their vehicle and get out to an area that's easier to traverse. And so I think that explains even more why this is a pretty important project for this park. To sounds like a gorgeous place, like many in Otter Tail County, and sounds like a good project. Thanks for bringing it forward.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Reese?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have two questions. First question, will the county take over maintenance of this once it's established for perpetuity? And then the second question, seems like Otter Tail County has been kind of a hidden gem for a long time, but I think people are starting to recognize that it perhaps should rank up with other destinations in Minnesota, like North Shore and others. Have you been seeing that trend yourself? Do you have metrics that talk about or point to the increase in use of the beauty of Otter Tail County and the resources and recreational opportunities available there?
Sure, Madam Chair, Commissioners, I can answer those questions. So as far as the maintenance, back in 2021, the Otter Tail County Board of Commissioners started our Parks and Trails Department. So we have an annual budget that we work with as far as maintenance. So yeah, I mean, as we, you know, add to our park portfolio and our trail portfolio, I mean, we annually increase our budget in order to maintain and keep our facilities in top condition. So obviously with this park, we would be doing the same. We'd be increasing our budget what we can and be maintaining the infrastructure that we're putting in place. Could you restate your second question again, please?
Yeah,
sure. Just thank you, Madam Chair. The interest in the growth within growth and interest in using Otter Tail County as a destination area for tourists and other visitors, seasonal visitors, seems to me that it is a hidden gem that when I've traveled through Otter Tail County, I'm struck by the beauty. And it seems like in prior years, it's been kind of a secret, but now it's taking hold, and just my perception is it's growing substantially from a standpoint of tourism. Do you have any metrics for that in terms of visitors per year to Otter Tail County?
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, I could answer that question as well. So recently, within the last 2 years, we had done a massive remodel renovation project on Phelps Mill. So Phelps Mill County Park is our main flagship county park with the old Phelps Mill building that's there. Part of that remodel job was we had to re-stand up the mill. The foundation was failing. So the park, that part of the park with the mill, was closed down for about a year. As we've progressed forward, as I said before, with Placer AI, where we're going to be doing the cell phone data tracking, we had done a small run with that application. And what we found was that when the mill was closed down and reopened, we saw about a 33.5% increase in traffic to Phelps Mill Park. So that actually ended up being about 39,000 unique cell phone pings. So different cell phones coming to the area from different locations to the park. So that was about 39,000 unique visits to the park after we had done the revitalization of the mill.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam Chair, and Commissioner, if I may also speak to that question. We are working hard to be recognized here in Otter Tail County. There was mention of a hidden gem. Our Otter Tail County Lakes Country Association works hard to message out what we have here in Otter Tail County. I know the hits on our social media website have increased exponentially over the last several years, recognizing that people are starting to know who we are and learn that it's a great place to live here, work here, and play here.
All right. Thank you very much for your presentation. We had some questions here about, this is a capital project. And if maybe staff, Director Nash could help us on this one.
Members, just want to clarify that there is a question on the application that was probably inadvertently missed that asks if this is a project that includes pre-design, design, construction, or renovation of a building, trail, campground, or other fixed capital asset costing $10,000 or more. I think it accidentally got marked as no, but that should be yes. So we can just follow up with the applicants to make sure that gets fixed. And for sure, this is a capital construction project. We might also need to get a couple more materials from the applicants associated with those kinds of projects.
All right. Understand the presenters?
We understand. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, on to our next project, evaluation line 100, project number 081, Mesabi Trail, Aurora to Hoyt Lakes by Sarah Chiotto. Gotta help me with that one. So if you're here.
Yes.
Chiochetto. All right. Huh?
You can ask her.
Yeah. Would you please start with your name and then you can begin.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Sarah Chicchetto. I am the Deputy Director of the St. Louis and Lake Counties Regional Railroad Authority, which owns and maintains the North Shore Scenic Railroad from Duluth to Two Harbors and the 10-foot wide paved Mesabi Bike Trail from Grand Rapids to Ely. Thank you for this opportunity today to speak about our proposed trail extension between Aurora and Hoyt Lakes. There's little doubt of the popularity of non-motorized outdoor activities. Surveys across Minnesota in 2008, 2017, and 2022 have all stated that the most popular outdoor activities are walking, hiking, biking, and running of non-motorized activities. A 2021 Met Council visitor study confirmed those four activities, along with dog park use, comprised 90% of the main reason visitors went to the trails. Outdoor recreation is now driving the U.S. economy, surpassing other industries as a major contributor to the national GDP. Motor vehicle manufacturing comes in at 156 billion, oil, gas, and coal 200 billion, air transportation 173 billion, but outdoor recreation is showing at $564 billion of value-added contribution to the GDP. Given all those statistics, the Mesabi Trail is uniquely positioned and a critical piece in the economic development of northeastern Minnesota. This 165-mile master plan, 10-foot wide paved trail currently connects 2 counties, 28 communities, 4 state parks, and numerous other amenities. It is not a typical rail trail. It is not straight. It is not flat. It has 3,300 feet of elevation change from start to finish, and many curves and bridges, multiple landscapes, and offers a dynamic ride for cyclists through the Iron Range. It is like a public park in that anyone can use it, no matter financial status, age, or ability. And a relatively famous movie line states, if you build it, they will come. Well, this has proven true for the Mesabi Trail. After an extensive marketing campaign over the last couple of years, trail counters have logged over 280,000 users over the past year. Aurora to Hoyt Lakes is a 4.5-mile spur. It was requested by Hoyt Lakes in 2015 and is fully supported by both the communities of Aurora and Hoyt Lakes. I have presented to them in the last month, and they are still 100% on board. This trail will meander through undeveloped Blandon and Elite properties and will connect the 2 communities through a very beautiful wooded area. Benefits to Aurora: cyclists will traverse through their community and be able to see all that the community has to offer. Hoyt Lakes, cyclists will come, or users will come into their community and spend their hard-earned dollars on their amenities. The Mesabi Trail will gain a gateway to Lake County should we ever plan on extending over to the North Shore bike trails. We also have garnered some legislative support. Our project the cost of this project currently sits at $2.7 million, and our request is $2 million from the LCCMR. However, when I put in my application, I only had one grant confirmed. I now have received 2 other grants. And based on that, and even taking in inflation, we could reduce our request to $1.5 million and still complete the project. The Mesabi Trail has the ability to unite communities, reconnect families, and strengthen economic diversity of the region. I want to say thank you to this commission for seeing the value of an investment of this nature, to the Rail Authority and Bob Manslane for the time and effort they've put in, and to the many other funders and people who have brought the Mesabi Trail to the 156 miles it currently is today. I know several of you got to experience the trail firsthand last fall on a gorgeous September day. I invite all of you to come and see for yourselves this amazing trail your funding has helped to create. I stand for any questions.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. Before we even start, I've been remiss in not mentioning that Senator Herr is here, Representative Heinzman is also here. So thank you to both of you for joining us. We have questions from Commissioner Peichel. Oh, they're all, okay. Old list. Okay, are there questions from the commission? Any questions on that? Okay. All right, I guess, oh, never mind. Here we got one more. Commissioner Reese.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can't help to hear about Mesabi Trail without thinking of Senator Thomasoni, so I just wanted to bring that up. And also, we had the opportunity during our LCCMR tour last fall to ride the trails and electric bikes, and you know, I think that's a great resource for your region, and I'll be supportive of this project. Thank you.
Okay, other commission members? All right. Okay, yes, all right, we just want to confirm that her request is now 1.5 million. If you did not hear that during the presentation. So, all right, with that, hearing no other questions, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair and commission members.
Okay, we're next to line 108, project 227. Commander Michael Jugovich, I hope I'm saying these names correctly, Minnesota Forest Zone Trappers Association. If you're here, would you present your name? And we need your name, and then you can start.
Good morning. My name is Michael Jugovich. Glad to be here. Members of the LCCMR Commission, I'm Mike Jugovich. As I said, I'm here. I'm a member of the Forest Zone Trappers Association and also serve as a St. Louis County Commissioner. So I have Ray with me also. This is Ray Sogard. He's the president. He will be joining in, helping me out and going through the process with me. This is my first time. So just wanted to have a little bit of support and someone who has more of the answers to the questions. I live in Chisholm. I'm proud to be associated with the Trappers and the work they're doing as we try to develop a sportsman and sportswomen's training and developmental center in Hibbing. As I said, Ray's here. We have questions. He's the expert, but we appreciate the opportunity to present to you and thank you for the past LCCMR grant, which has helped us to get to this point in our project. Today, we're requesting $1,050,000 for phase 2, the construction of the Sportsmen and Sportswomen's Training Developmental Learning Center, along with all necessary amenities. Again, we can't thank you enough for the past participation in this project. It means a lot, and it's got us to this point, and we'd sure like to continue with this momentum and move forward. Growing up in Minnesota, I had parents and grandparents who hunt, fish, trapped, spent time in the great outdoors. I was very fortunate. I pass these skills down to my children. Not everyone is as lucky as I am, but thanks to this project and the vision of Minnesota Forest Zone Trappers, we can pass these outdoor traditions by teaching our younger people at our sportsmen's and sportswomen's training facility in Hibbing, which is something that we really feel is something that is going to be a great resource for our area. Phase one of this project consisted of completing a master plan and infrastructure analysis of the site, which LCCMR helped to invest in, and we are very appreciative. Phase two includes the site prep and grading, construction site amenities, the project design on the land that the trappers already own in Hibbing. Site preparation includes clearing, grading, wetlands review, surveying, hazardous materials evaluation, road construction, culverts, and parking lots. Site amenities include construction of a training pond, secure fence, and an archery range, bleachers, bog walk, and overnight camping area. We believe our project meets LCCMR's constitutional aim of protecting, conserving, preserving, and enhancing Minnesota's air, water, land, fish, wildlife, and other natural resources all in one location. The center will educate and train people from around the state of Minnesota, increasing their knowledge of the outdoors and teaching them skills that will help them cultivate a sustainable lifestyle and maintain a healthy, biodiverse natural environment through hunting, fishing, and other outdoor activities. This center will focus on training our young people from the Twin Cities to the northern Minnesota border all around the state. Young people need to learn how to fish, hunt, trap, or these traditions will be lost. We need kids off their devices at the facility like this and learning these lifelong skills. This project is supported by St. Louis County, our local state legislators, Delta Waterfowl, Minnesota Deer Hunters Association, Pheasants Forever, Grouse Society of Minnesota, Dark Horse and Angling Association, Ducks Unlimited, National Turkey Association, and others who recognize our focus to promote outdoor activities throughout the state. Aside from funds invested already by LCCMR, we are, if I can get the page, also seeking funding from other nonprofit private organizations, the Minnesota Legislature, Department of Iron Range Resources, and through our own fundraising efforts. Commission members, our goal here is to operate a premier outdoor training and educational facility in the country. With our world-class forests, the Boundary Waters, Voyageurs National Park, incredible in hunting and fishing, this center should be here in Minnesota, and we should be teaching young people how to get outdoors with these Minnesota traditions. The center's programs will educate underrepresented youth from adults from around Minnesota, increasing their knowledge of the outdoors and the environment, making their world their classroom. Again, we appreciate your previous investment in this project and hope you'll consider helping us again as we move forward in developing this project. We are happy to stand for questions.
Questions from commission members? Commissioner Moore.
Thank you, Chair Gibson, and thank you for the presentation. I absolutely agree with your intent of getting kids outdoors. I am curious, however, about specifically how you intend to serve underserved communities. Hunting, fishing, and trapping were historically only accomplished by those who were underserved because they were a mechanism for subsistence or revenue production. Nowadays, it seems like the opposite is actually the case. Can you share with me how you intend to serve either indigenous communities or underserved communities with this facility?
Thank you. Do you know who wants to answer that?
I will.
Mr. Sorga, okay, thank you.
My name is Ray Sogard. I'm president of the Minnesota Forest Zone Trappers Association. Madam Chairman, members, was that? Okay, we intend to do this by incorporating all the other sporting organizations, as we mentioned, Ducks Unlimited, Delta Waterfowl, Minnesota Deer Hunters, Dark Horse and Angling, all of these associations together. We all seem to be doing our thing, but we don't have a central goal as to how do we do this so everybody benefits. That's what our center is for. We would be bringing in these organizations. Our facility will include a pond, which will accommodate the duck hunters and fishermen. We will have a archery range, a small shooting range, which will be incorporated for permit to carry and gun safety. The rest of the facility, because it's 52 acres, we have the ability then to teach these people, and we will be busing a lot of them in from the various areas throughout the state. We're not just regional. We're going to cover the whole state, and we hope that we plan on making this the premier facility in the state or in the nation, and we do this through the training that all of us have. With the deer hunters, for example, I'll give you an example. For the deer hunters, they have what is known as forkhorn camps. Well, they had a number of them throughout the state. Well, unfortunately, 2 years ago, two of them closed. And our facility will pick up the slack for those two, because the two that closed were up here in northern Minnesota. Our people now from this area have to travel 2 hours just to go to the forkhorn camp. So we intend to bring all those things together and through these organizations, and we have great support so far from all organizations.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I just think this is one of those opportunities where we can take what we have right here and get diverse backgrounds and all kinds of different folks that might have not had the opportunity to get in and see how we do things and train to trap and hunt, shoot responsibly. And I think this day and age, everyone can agree, we want to make sure that we do things right, and have responsible gun owners, have responsible hunters. Everyone that is going to be working in any kind of fur, fish, or game needs to understand the rules and regulations and the responsibility that goes along with having this. So what we're looking forward to doing is getting a diverse background of people here and giving opportunities that they may not have had.
I think I understand what you're trying to express in your answer, but I do not think you really reflected well how you intend to represent the underserved communities. I do suggest if you move forward with this facility and it gets funded, you actually take some action to recruit people who are better at engaging the underserved communities. There are people in this world that exist that do that. We saw a really fine presentation from a presenter yesterday, specifically with an intention of representing Latino communities. So I suggest if you move forward with this to actually take some action in serving the underserved communities rather than just sort of vaguely expressing how that might happen with your facility. Thank you.
Okay, next question is from Senator Westrom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to, first of all, thank the presenters for bringing this forward. I know we heard some proposals yesterday and maybe a little before yesterday about different ways to get more youth and more people exposed to the outdoors, both canoeing, on the rivers or in the woods, or trapping and hunting. And this one is in that same category. And so I like to see the variety of different places in the state that some of these proposals are coming from, because naturally people within 60 or 100-mile radius are probably going to be your targeted audience. And so appreciate what you're doing. No, I think we all take for granted what we had for an opportunity growing up. I just see in our own church a lot of older gentlemen that have kids that have left home, but they like to pass on that hunting tradition. They take out a lot of our youth group to hunts and to fishing and to different outdoor activities like that. And I think this looks a lot like that, just on a bigger scale. And that's what it's going to take to have people learn these tactics and strategies and best ways to safely hunt and trap and really create that fever inside of them. But it all starts with the training. So talk to us a little bit about the numbers and the reach that you expect your project to have ultimately.
Mr. Sogard?
Madam Chair and members, we feel that our outreach is going to be pretty much statewide. I mean, our area right now covers from Baudette area to Grand Marais, down to Pine City and back up to Baudette. So we have the forested area of Minnesota. Like I said, we also intend to bus in from all parts of the state various groups that are interested in our programs. We feel that right now, for example, one part is the gun safety issue. And right now, that group is taking in people from the cities because they can't get the practical program needed to get the gun safety permit for the kids. That's very true in trapping also, because these are mandated state programs that kids have to have before they hunt or they fish or trap. And we believe that statewide we should be able to run through in the various programs. I think a conservative guess would be somewhere around 2,500 to 3,000 kids a year through this program. And that is conservative because we also teach for the adults also. These state mandated programs like hunter safety and gun safety and trapping all must also be done by adults if they have not in the past hunted or fished or trapped.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Peichel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How many acres of this site are currently wetland?
We had our wetland delineation already done, and fortunately for us, because of trapping, wetlands are a good thing for us because we're going to have a bog walk. We're going to teach the environmental issues with the bog, the vegetation in the bog, and things of that nature. And right now, we have, I don't know the exact acreage, but we know we have enough acreage to put our building, and the rest is good for us because it's part of what we do, whether it be trapping or hunting or fishing.
Follow-up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason I asked the question is it looks as if from the design photo you submitted from SEH that a significant portion of this site would be filling a wetland to provide RV camping stalls as well as other facilities. And I recognize the I appreciate the value of the diverse amenities you have planned, but I hope that if funded, you would reconsider scaling this back to reduce the impact on the wetlands that already exist there and the need for mitigation. Thanks.
Mr. Sogard, do you want to comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, as of right now, there are it's very little need to do any filling in, and which we'd have to buy wetland credits to do so. So right now, the way it's designed, that all of this it's on high land right now. So we feel confident that we're going to get most of them, but you are right. If it need be, we will scale back some of those.
Any more? Representative Heinzman?
Thank you, Chair. I want to just quickly thank the Forest Zone Trappers for their project. It's interesting to hear of all of the plans and the phase 2 proposal before us today. And I want to thank Ray and others that have advocated in spite of some of the criticism in even today's hearing. I know that the facility is there for all of the people of Minnesota, and anyone that would want to participate is absolutely welcome to do that there. And the expertise that's being made available by these folks is invaluable. It's a lost art and tradition in many parts of the state, and I commend the effort to do this. I hope that the public and the members present today recognize the value of this effort. And I would like to make a few other comments, but I'm going to stop there and look forward to seeing this project come through and be a part of the final package.
Okay, Senator Westrom, did you have another question? Comment? Your hand's up. Senator Westrom? Okay. Okay. All right, let's move on. We're on to, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're on to evaluation line 107, project number 216 by Nikki Geisler, Thompson County Park Restoration Accessibility Improvements. Are you with us?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, introduce
Excellent.
yourself and you can start.
Excellent. Well, good morning, co-chairs, co-vice chairs, and commissioners. My name is Nikki Geisler, and I am the Dakota County Parks Director. And with me today in the room is Shannon Montante, one of our natural resources supervisors, to help with any questions you might have. You are stuck with us for 2 presentations back to back, for better or worse, I suppose. And we just really thank you for the opportunity to present information today on both Thompson County Park and Lake Billsby Regional Park restoration and recreation projects. As the 3rd most populous county in Minnesota with a highly used and well-respected regional park and greenway system, we work very hard to facilitate natural-based experiences for our residents and visitors while restoring and managing the significant and important natural resources these parks contain. Our first project request is for Dakota County's only non-regional park, Thompson County Park, which is a 58-acre park located in West St. Paul near Highway 52 and Butler Avenue East, and connected to our 7-mile river-to-river greenway. The park serves the more than 50,000 residents in this vibrant community, our most northern, most urban, and most diverse part of Dakota County. And the park had an estimated 300,000 visitors in 2022. The county recently made a first round of improvements following the 2020 adoption of the park's long-range plan. This included installation of an inclusive playground, accessible group picnicking, shoreline restoration, and more. This year, we completed schematic design on approximately $25 million of phase 2 long-range plan improvements to the park with 9 total projects included. And these projects within this application are part of that larger list of hopeful improvements. The primary goals of our request are to enhance the ecological and recreational value of this land through thoughtful habitat and stream restoration and increasing the accessibility of recreational activities. Nearly 90% of the park is natural or semi-natural vegetation, which is unusual for a park surrounded by urban development. However, the site is quite degraded with little native plant growth. The county is well positioned to restore the landscape and provide educational opportunities to its visitors related to water quality, native ecosystems, and threatened endangered species like the rusty patch bumblebee, which is present in the park. The pollinator promenade, part of this project application, would allow visitors to enjoy formalized gardens that provide an up-close look at a variety of plant species and observe pollinators hard at work. And further from the pathways, the landscape will start to become a naturalized prairie of informal plantings and native wildflowers. Scattered seating and interpretive signage will create a pleasant setting for visitors to view, interact with, and learn about the important role that pollinators play in our world. Next, the stream restoration part of the project, alongside the pollinator promenade, will enhance visitor experience and provide ecological services, including stormwater storage, sediment and nutrient reduction, and increased habitat and species diversity within the park. Finally, as demonstrated through the accessibility evaluation during this planning process, the park is a destination for those with limited mobility. This includes a multiple decades-long partnership with the City of West St. Paul and School District 197, who partnered with us on the construction of the building, our lodge, and facilitate very popular adult programming within the activity center at the park. Unfortunately, limited ADA accessible options actually exist in the park for outdoor activities. These funds would install an ADA accessible paddle launch on Thompson Lake, increasing access to water-based recreational activities for all visitors. The location also ensures minimal to no impact to the shoreline and existing significant trees. In closing, for this project, the vision of the long-range plan states, Thompson County Park is an urban oasis that inspires people to participate in vibrant and healthy activities, is responsive to the community, and encourages people to discover nature. We look forward to continuing to enhance the space for visitors, and we appreciate your consideration to support these efforts. And I now stand for any questions you have regarding this application.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Albrecht?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for your presentation. I'm interested in your stream restoration. I didn't see a whole lot of detail about that, but I'm curious about, the velocity of that stream and the size of it and what kind of restoration you plan for that. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Geisler?
Thank you for that question, Madam Chair, Commissioner. I can say a couple details here that I know about the stream restoration. Again, I also have Shannon here who can answer more details. The county is working with our water resources professional, watershed representatives, and the Minnesota DNR area hydrologists to develop the designs that will meet regulatory approval for the stream restoration. The long-range plan actually calls for daylighting of the stream, which include interactive pools that culminates in a cascade down to Emerson Pond. The daylighted stream will transform the space really into a must-visit destination following rain events. But we also know it might be a dry bed at times, which can also teach our visitors quite a bit about water flow. And yet I don't know if you're aware of the question, Shannon, regarding, can you restate, you asked about the volume of water?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just curious about, what's the velocity, or is it a fast flowing stream, or, in these days, everything's a fast flowing stream because of flooding. But I'm just curious if you're going to put in rock riffles or just native plantings along the way, or re-meander the stream, or any of those kinds of strategies that are often used to rehabilitate a channelized or a fast flowing stream.
Ms. Geisler?
Yes, here I am going to change my background so Shannon can join.
Hi, yes, riffles are a part of the proposed.
Please
design.
identify yourself first.
Your name.
Oh, hi, I'm Shannon Montante, Natural Resources Supervisor with Dakota County. And yes, rock riffles are part of the proposed design, which again, we will finalize with appropriate experts. We do anticipate it being an ephemeral stream, as Nikki mentioned. So the velocity is low, although in conditions such as this, we'd expect to have flow in it.
Okay. Other commission members have questions? Anybody online? Oh, okay, perfect. All right. Well, then let's move on to your second project. This is second project is evaluation line 106. Project number 213. Nikki Geisler is going to continue with Lake Billsby Regional Park Restoration and Recreation. All right, on to number 2.
All right, on to number 2. So next, Lake Billsby Regional Park along the Cannon River is adjacent to the 1,300-acre Lake Billsby Reservoir, which during the annual drawdown provides important habitat for thousands of migrating shorebirds. It is one of Audubon's important bird areas and has a vast natural landscape that annually attracts bird enthusiasts, hikers, photographers, and water recreationists. In addition, the Milltown State Trail, when built, will bring many additional people to this park. However, the west area of the park lacks access and amenities for visitors and has a fragmented ecosystem due to the non-restored areas and former park inholdings that we recently acquired by the county, recently acquired by the county. Visitors to that part of the park are forced to park along a busy road, on private property, or in a nearby cemetery to birdwatch and access the area. This is creating an unhealthy disruption to the natural environment, disturbing plants and animals, and leaving behind garbage and waste. So in alignment with the park's long-range plan that was approved in 2018, this project will provide trailhead facilities in 3 locations to provide a safer and more enjoyable visitor experience. Specific improvements include birding facilities like observation platform, a birding blind, natural surface trails, boardwalk bridges, the installation of new wayfinding and interpretive signage, and visitor amenities, including vault toilets and shaded picnic areas. The proposal also includes robust natural resource restoration activities on approximately 115 acres to remove invasive plant species, prairie restoration, meadow seeding, woodland enhancement, and restoration of parts of the Lake Billsby shoreline in both the eastern and western sections of the park. These restoration efforts will increase landscape connectivity within the park and the surrounding area, foster natural communities that are more resilient and which provide important habitat for both animals and plants. A final point of interest that I'd like to share is that natural resources staff here in Dakota County have identified 12 rare plants species at Lake Billsby Regional Park. And through our plant propagation program, we're able to harvest seeds and grow these plants in a hoop house that we lease currently to install back into the plant or parks as part of these restoration efforts. Many of these plants that we grow are near impossible to find or are cost prohibitive to buy in the marketplace. Dakota County is currently constructing a 5,000 square foot greenhouse as part of a new maintenance facility project at Lebanon Hills Regional Park. And this will allow our staff to further increase our plant propagation efforts, harvesting and planting native seeds like those at Lake Billsby, and aiding in the restoration of the incredible natural systems within Dakota County. So this concludes my second presentation. Thank you. And I now stand for any questions that you have on Lake Billsby.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions from commission members? Yes, Commissioner Faber.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Nikki, I was curious, I think you might have said something in the first of your 2 when we're looking at county match. I'm really interested in the second project when you mentioned about the reservoir during drawdown and the importance for migrating shorebirds, because I'm a bird geek. So I'd like to know more about what the county would be putting into this, particularly to this second project that we're talking about now. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. The Dakota County has committed to a 25% match for these asks. So I'm just looking here at our application. We have, whoops, there it is. That 25% equals $414,000 would be our county match on this request.
Follow up?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, other commission members? Any questions? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for having us. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to line 105. project number 201 by Kyle Morrell. Let's see, we'll find out how that is. Scandia Gateway Trail Connection, Recreation, Wetlands, Environmental Education. Are you with us, Mr. Morrell? Okay, I think once you state your name, your face will come up and you can start.
I am here, and it is Morel, like the mushroom.
Yes. Thank you very much. State your name and please then go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Kyle Morel. I'm the city administrator for the city of Scandia. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. We appreciate this opportunity to present our proposal to you this morning. The city of Scandia seeks funding to construct a bicycle pedestrian connecting trail. This project would connect recreational, cultural, and environmental resources in Scandia to the state gateway trailhead location. The new trail would consist of a wetland boardwalk and connecting trails to several Scandia community sites. These include the Gamble Garden Museum, playgrounds, athletic facilities, an amphitheater, a splash pad, and an arts and heritage center. The city of Scandia is located in northeastern Washington County along the St. Croix River. We are 39 square miles of natural landscape, rural residential housing, agriculture, wooded areas, open space, and scenic and recreational areas. Scandia and its 4,100 residents are committed to maintaining and enhancing its environmental and recreational assets for the greater benefit of our community, the region, and the state at large. Thanks to an earlier LCCMR grant, Scandia is already working to construct the north terminus of the Gateway Trail. This trail will pass through William O'Brien State Park before landing at a trailhead in the Scandia Village Center. This project will provide the 285,000 annual visitors to William O'Brien State Park with direct access to Scandia. The new project proposal before you today is separate from the earlier LCCMR project. This project will seek to join the trailhead with multiple current and developing resources offered by and within the city of Scandia. These resources will enhance trail users' environmental education and recreational experiences. This proposal will create a trail network between the Gateway Trails terminus and multiple Scandia facilities, making Scandia a destination for Gateway Trail users. A new bike pedestrian trail across and around the Scandia Community Center grounds and the wetland boardwalk will connect the following educational and recreational amenities to the Gateway Trailhead. Scandia's Community Center has an upgraded playground, tennis and pickleball courts, a skating rink, a skate park, and athletic fields. Water Tower Barn Scandia, which includes a new museum and cultural center, and the only large-scale amphitheater in the St. Croix Valley. Water Tower Barn programming will focus on water quality, wetland protection, and historical interpretation of early windmill engineering for public water distribution. And Gamble Garden Museum, which is internationally known for preserving, presenting, and promoting immigrant heritage. The new trail and gateway connection will enhance recreational options for trail users and those visiting William O'Brien State Park by providing easy and safe access to the aforementioned amenities. The trail improvement will also benefit visitors to two major public venues, Big Marine Lake Veterans Camp and Big Marine Lake Regional Park. More than 75,000 overnight campers visit the Veterans Camp alone each year. Safely accessing William O'Brien State Park, Stillwater, and St. Paul via a trail system greatly enhances Scandia's connectivity to the rest of Washington County and the larger metro area. The request also includes interpretive signage about the wetlands and rain gardens. In a Scandia Heritage Alliance survey recently completed by 395 people, 74% of respondents said they would visit a Scandia wetland trail with interpretive signage. Public demand is strong. This trail network will provide local residents, students, and guests with an outdoor classroom, offering an immersive learning experience focusing on environmental stewardship. The trail network will be located on land owned and maintained by the city of Scandia. No private property is needed to complete this project. We also know that a local match is required, and we have one ready to go. The city has allocated the required match to its future budget projections with plans to complete the project by the end of 2026. In summary, we appreciate the opportunity to present this proposal to LCCMR. We believe this is an exciting project that will allow the people of Scandia and the thousands of visitors who come through Scandia each year to appreciate what our community has to offer. I happily stand for any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there questions from commission members? Any online? Seeing none, I just was trying to figure out your budget here. What you're asking us is for the trail, and is the matching money to pay for the pickleball courts and et cetera, museum?
No.
Could you?
No, those are features already available and paid for and constructed by the city of Scandia. The budget request is simply for the construction of the trail.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that clarification. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.
All right, folks, last proposal. Yep. Huh? No. Huh? Isn't this the last one?
It is, and we don't have her on yet.
Oh, all right. We're just gonna pause a second. We're a little ahead of schedule. Our presenter is not online yet. We do have other business, but, pardon? We have another one. Yep, we did the minutes. We have attendance.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, unfortunately.
Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, we're, all right, staff, let's, move this agenda around a little bit. Is there, you want to do a work plan? What would you like to do?
We can do work plans. It'll be very short.
Okay, let's do our work plan. It is item 4B on your agenda. I believe the work plan is in our packet. Is that right? Yeah.
No, there's nothing in your packet for this
Okay.
item.
All right, so it's gonna be very quick. So,
It's gonna be very quick. I just wanted to tell you, so we got all the work, all but 3 of the work plans approved, last week, and we have now approved those in the online system and notified the project managers and notified the agencies that they are free to start spending as of July 1st. There are 3 more work plans that are not ready to come before you yet. And so we are working with those project managers to get those, the last unresolved issues wrapped up, and then hopefully we'll have those ready for you at the July 31st meeting.
okay. Questions for staff regarding the work plans? Anybody?
Nope.
No, it's not an action.
Yep, we
item.
put it on here just in case we were gonna be ready, and
Yeah.
we're not there yet.
Okay, so we don't need action on that. Is our presenter online yet? Nope.
I
Okay,
do
well,
not
that's
see her. And
unfortunate. Do we want to talk? about
Madam
the-
Chair?
Yes. Yes, Senator Westrom?
Oh, Madam Chair, just July 31st, is that our next meeting? I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I'm assuming it is, Becca, or is there one before that?
Okay, Senator, excuse me, Director Nash?
Madam Chair and members, that's the next full LCCMR commission meeting.
Sounds good, thanks. That's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay.
And it sounds like the presenter is going to be on in 2 minutes, so I might just maybe remind you now that your evaluations will be due on July 10th. And do we want to say anything about the executive committee?
Yep, sure. For those of you, obviously you were not at the executive committee meeting, but just to give a little report, staff presented us with their budget, their administrative operating budget. And the executive committee approved a $4 million budget for the operations. And that is at a 2% of our budget, total budget. Staff is allowed for operations to go up to $4 million. Excuse me, $8 million, and that they're allowed to do 4%. At this point, we are at 2% with the $4 million operation budget. And that includes all the electronics that we need to do, all the Zoom meetings, our per diems, the salaries. So I just wanted to let the rest of the commission members know. So we approved that this morning. And I see Senator Westrom is online with the question. Senator Westrom.
Madam Chair, just to clarify, that's a 2-year budget, 2 million a year, hence the 4 million. And then what was the last budget, just to know if it was up or down or the same?
Okay, I'm gonna let Commissioner Nash. God, I keep calling you Commissioner. You've been, I don't know if you call that an upgrade or not. Director Nash.
Madam Chair and members, that you are correct, Senator Westrom, that is the biennial budget. So you've got the breakdown correct there, and it is an increase over last year's biennial, and that reflects additional staff that have been approved. I don't have those materials right in front of me, so I can look into what the percent increase is over last biennial and get back to you with that.
Just an approximate, do you recall, was it 1.8 or 1.5 million? Just close. I don't need exact.
Yep, about 1.5 million.
Sorry, say that again.
You are correct, about 1.5 million.
Okay, further questions, Senator Westrom? Okay, other commission members? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have something to add, Director Nash?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say, so there will be a slight adjustment to the numbers on the online system and in your Excel spreadsheets for your evaluation number 2. And we'll follow up with you.
Yes, would you like to discuss our budget that we don't have confirmed yet until next week?
Yes, Madam Chair. So the amount that the LCCMR has available for recommendations is determined by calculating 5.5% of the value of the trust fund on one particular day, and that is every biennium, and that is June 30th of the even years. And so we will have the number by the end of day. Well, it's whatever the value is at the end of the day on Monday. It does take a couple days for State Board of Investment and MMB to make sure that some miscellaneous expenses are accounted for, and then to certify that number, but that will be set. And then we have put in just our best projection right now, which is that there'll be $100 million available. So that's what you'll have to work with for your evaluation number 2. And if our numbers are off, you know, if Monday comes and the value does not indicate that, we've got a little flexibility to balance between the 2 fiscal years. So we've got a way to deal with that.
Okay. Questions for Director Nash from any commission members? Okay. Is our presenter online? Perfect. All right. Okay. As again, our last project, it is line number 93 and project number 232. It's Gabrielle Manoman, and this is restoration at Wakan Tipi, BVNS in Lower Phelan Creek project. So if you would like to start, introduce yourself, and then you can go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gabby Manuman. I am the Environmental Restoration Manager at Wakan Tipi Wayankapi, and I'm joined here today by our Executive Director, Maggie Lorenz.
Good morning. My name is Maggie Lorenz. I'm the Executive Director here at Lower Phelan Creek Project, doing business as Wakan Tipi Wayankapi.
Yeah, so today I just kind of wanted to tell you guys a little bit about our proposal that we submitted in for the grant. Most of the funding that we're requesting is going to go towards the ongoing stewardship and restoration of Wakantipi, which otherwise known as Bruce Bento Nature Sanctuary. We are finishing up year 3 of the original management plan. Friends of the Mississippi River has used LCCMR funding from the first 3 years, and their funding period is coming to an end in the next couple of days here, actually. And so in our proposal, we are going to be taking on the rest of the stewardship for the 5-year, plus an extra year of maintenance for the Bruce Bento Nature Sanctuary. We are entering into a co-management agreement with the city of St. Paul, where our organization is going to take on a larger leadership role in the maintenance and care and stewardship of Bruce Bento Nature Sanctuary. And so this funding will really be used to help aid us in managing the sanctuary properly, finishing up that natural resource and management restoration plan. We also had put in a portion of the budget to go towards an annual BioBlitz for the sanctuary. We're actually going to be doing our first, the first BioBlitz is going to be this Saturday, tomorrow actually, and so we are hoping that this can be an annual event that we can continue, so we have a baseline of data for the sanctuary that we can use to evaluate the changes over the years. And then lastly, part of the funding is going to go towards salary for 3 positions that'll be really key in the coordination of the restoration activities that are going to need to take place in the next couple of years, as well as volunteer coordination and public events where people will get a chance to help out with the stewardship on site as well. And I think with that, we can leave it open for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions from commission members? Any online? Not yet. Okay, Commissioner Faber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's the first time I've heard anyone outside. I spend a lot of time up at the Sax-Zim Bog, an important bird area up in north central Minnesota, and they do multiple BioBlitzes. So when I heard you say BioBlitz, I don't know that many of our members know what a BioBlitz. I don't mean to insult anyone's biology intelligence, and then you can do them on groups of species, whether it's going to be insects, frog or amphibians and reptiles, something like that. Will you be doing, multiple orders of species, or what do you have planned for that? Thank you.
Yes.
Ms.
Yeah.
Amendment?
So for the BioBlitz, it's basically just a large citizen science data collection event where our BioBlitz, we're going to have this year we have 12 environmental professionals coming out and leading different survey stations, anywhere from bird surveys, vegetation surveys, aquatic invertebrates, mushrooms, things like, just to name a few. And so this is just a chance for the public to come out and learn from the environmental professionals, get an idea of who is essentially living at the sanctuary.
Follow up?
Yeah, since I brought it up, I would suggest a couple other local conservation organizations. One that I think would be cool is the Minnesota Dragonfly Association is down here. They have an expert, or people do that, have trainings, that sort of thing. If you're looking, you want to get as many as you can. I'd say the Minnesota Native Plant Society, NPPS, is another good one. We're looking at your native plants. Then you've got your experts that can teach people that sort of thing. So there's a lot of those organizations. So I'm glad to see you're going to tap into those knowledge sources. Thank you.
Yep.
Any comment? Okay. Senator Westrom.
Madam Chair, just a clarification on the dollar use. Sounded like it's to fund ongoing programming. I thought this was more of a one-time request, but is this a funding that's going to be able to be sustained with other funding in the future, or are you looking at coming back each year or two to the LCCMR to continue this funding ongoing?
Thank you. Ms. Menman?
I can answer that if that's all right. So our request is to complete the 5-year natural resources management plan work plan that was developed in 2020 with Friends of the Mississippi River. Again, they received funding for the first 3 years. And so our request here is to complete the final years of that restoration plan and establish this new data collection program with the BioBlitz. And we do plan to, of course, continue fundraising from other sources as well to supplement this work. So we have received funding from other state sources, the Minnesota DNR, but also we receive environmental funding from the Neely Foundation, the Mortensen Family Foundation. And so really what we're hoping is once we get through this 5-year natural resources management plan, because the nature sanctuary was established in 2005, and there was a long period where it was underinvested in the ongoing management and maintenance. There are a lot of areas of the sanctuary that need full restoration. So that is the project.
Follow up, Senator Westrom?
So after the 5-year plan is done, you would continue back to normal operations, and your funding from private donations and other sources is sufficient?
Absolutely. So this is really to complete this restoration because there had been a lack of investment in the ongoing stewardship since 2005. So what we're really hoping to do is take leadership through this co-management agreement with the city to use our private fundraising sources to maintain ongoing stewardship so that the sanctuary remains in a healthy and vibrant position, which hasn't been the case, unfortunately, to this point. And so that's what this funding will really help with.
Thank you.
Okay, Representative Hollins.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I don't think I have a question necessarily, but I feel compelled to speak on this because Wakantipi is just outside of my district and is a place that we regularly visit. And I was just talking to Commissioner Faber here about, I couldn't remember what the name of a baby dragonfly was. It's a nymph. I learned a new thing. But I know my daughter, when she was about 4 years old, was at a Wakantipi event and got to like hold a bunch of nymphs, and it was disgusting and really cool. And like that's something that she would never have the opportunity to do if it wasn't for this nature sanctuary being right there and doing that educational work. And so I do think also when you think of a place that caters to diverse communities, has had underinvestment in it, this is a prime example of that. Like this is a location where there is literally nothing but train tracks and bad air quality and houses that are falling apart. And to have a nature sanctuary and to have a space there that also honors like traditional and native teachings is just so important. And it's so important for the children, but also just adults. I mean, I learned about dragonflies that I had never had an opportunity to learn about before. So I cannot recommend this highly enough. I'm very much in support of it. And thank you all.
Okay, let's see, Commissioner Langseth.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your great presentation. It really sounds like a cool project. I know that we see many organizations returning for additional supplementation or new projects, and I would say do not be afraid to also come back if you're looking at additional projects in the future. We'd love to support this. Just curious if you guys have, you reference and we're talking about a lot of conservation organizations you're going to be working with. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit on the cultural relevant programming, if you're tapping into Indigenous elders or just indigenous knowledge. Really curious about that. Thank you.
Ms. Meniman?
Yeah, so I can start answering this question, and then if Gabby has anything to add, she can as well. But we do, well, for the BioBlitz, we are including tribal natural resources professionals to lead some of the stations. And as we complete our work and move into this next phase of this co-management agreement, we're absolutely including tribal natural resources professionals in helping guide and develop some of the ways that we're going to be stewarding the site in the future in terms of indigenous land management practices and traditional ecological knowledge, and how that folds into the work that we're doing. So we're really excited to be able to be entering into this co-management agreement with the city and be able to.
That answer your question?
Where did she go?
Yeah.
Did we lose her?
We may have lost our presenter. Hold on just a moment. Technical difficulties. Ms. Madman, are you there?
She's not. We did lose her, so we need to maybe wait a moment for her to get back on.
Okay.
There she is.
All right.
She's loading up right now.
Okay.
And she's back.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Welcome back.
Sorry about that.
Technical
The computer had
difficulty.
a reboot for some reason in the middle of the day.
But yeah, as I was saying, we are definitely working with environmental professionals, and we built relationships with the natural resources and environmental departments at Shakopee, Metawakan Sioux community, as well as Prairie Island Indian community, and have some environmental professionals from other communities who don't have reservation bases in Minnesota, but live in Minnesota. So we're really happy that we're able to start incorporating that knowledge and expertise into the way we manage the site.
Follow up? No. Commissioner, was it Peichel? Are you? Okay, sorry. All right, then we have Senator Herr.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the presenter of Wongan TPs. Wongan TP is in my district, and I spoke in support of it a day ago. I think either a day ago or a day before. Someone mentioned just the name, and I talk about how important it is. You know, it's connected to Bruce Central Trail, and it's connected to the city of St. Paul. The path is a little primitive, and sometimes there will be restriction of going through. Now you can walk through them, but it's not accessible by car or by bus. And I remember even before I served the Senate in 2012, I've been invited a number of times to speak to young people just about the cultural aspect, my cultural aspect, how I contribute to the grand nature presentation, how I learn to appreciate those who come before me, who care for this land, and the respect for our indigenous community and our indigenous culture and the sacred ground. And so there's a vast land there that could be great, could be more accessible to young people, schooler, kids from all over on an annual basis, even before the Wongan TP had done the kickoff. There've been busload of kids coming through there, but it's curved through. I said it's under Kellogg Bridge, and it's interesting. It's really not that accessible. You have to go over Kellogg Bridge and curve back, I think, to a side road and then curve in. But there's opportunity here that we can do much better than before. So I asked member, to give a high, thought about this and give you a high vote or give you a high score for this project. I do want to ask, Ms. Lauren and the presentation. Sorry, I couldn't catch the presenter first name earlier, but when will the Wongan TP Center be completed? And I know this is not related to this request here, which I support wholeheartedly, but I just want to ask on a side note just for my own info and for the group as well. So
Yes, go ahead and ask your question, Senator.
Oh, my question is when will the Washington TV Center be completed? I should know, but
Okay. I did not hear the question. Did the presenters?
Yes, we heard it.
oh,
Okay,
hello.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead, Miss Madam.
So, thank you for asking that question, Senator Her, and I think it's important. I guess it's an important part of the context for this request. The reason that back in 2020 that we wanted to kind of like update the natural resources management plan for the Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary and do some overhaul re-restoration work at the site is because we knew that we were planning to build Wakan Teepee Center, which will be a cultural and environmental interpretive center that will be opening in the summer of next year, 2025. So the work that we're doing now is essentially to prepare the sanctuary, make sure that we're removing as much invasive species as possible and highlighting the native species in the sanctuary, improving the ecosystems there, and also working with the city to regrade and resurface the trails. So you talked about that a little bit, Senator Her, because when we open the center next year, we really want to be in a position to showcase this beautiful sanctuary and have the site feel very welcoming for new people to the site who maybe have not had a chance or opportunity to visit the site previously. But with Wakan Teepee Center being built, we know that we'll have many more visitors to this site. So we're doing that work right now and finishing up this natural resources management plan. But because the land is still owned by the city of St. Paul, we're applying as much encouraging pressure as we can to the city to invest in the resurfacing of the trails, which they've committed to. So that will provide more accessibility for people who are able to, who want to visit the site. The trails down in the sanctuary have not been resurfaced or maintained since its establishment in 2005. So it's really good that the city has agreed to resurface those trails, which will all be ADA accessible.
Thank you. And as you say, once this project or the funding is approved from LCCMR, it will work perfectly with the completion of the building. That's the point I want to get at. And thank you, Ms. Lauren, Ms. Manoman, for your presentation, and good luck.
Thank you, Senator. Commissioner Peichel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there any compensation from the railroad for the scar and the continued damage they'll provide through invasive species transmission onto the site?
Ms. Meneman.
We have not received funding to date for the site from the railroad, although that is a relationship and partnership we know we need to explore further. It's been a bit complicated to this point. So it is something that we are committed to continuing to pursue.
Follow up?
I just appreciate your sensitive responses. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Yes.
I feel a little
Mr.
bit in an
Faber.
educational mode here, so I thought I would share after Representative Hollins reminded me about dragonflies. Do you know that Minnesota has, I believe, 5 species of migratory dragonflies? They're like monarch butterflies. So that means they actually live 2 years. They're nymphs this summer, they hatch next summer, and then they fly south, and then they come back. Obviously, you didn't know that, or you're looking at me with the, I'm an entomology geek as well. So there, that's your lesson in dragonflies. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. I didn't even know that.
We do have a partnership with the U.S. Forestry Service, and part of that work is to engage with educating community members about the migratory species in our area. I didn't know those details, but I do know that we have migratory dragonfly species in Minnesota, and so this new partnership with the U.S. Forest Service will allow us to begin professional education opportunities for our staff, as well as educating the larger public about migratory species, including dragonflies.
Great to hear. Thank you. Good luck.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Senator Her?
Might just be residual.
Senator Hirsch.
My apology, I forgot to lower my hand, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, thank you very much for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, commission members, we have one more action item. And I'm going to turn over to Director Nash, and there's something we talked about last week.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members, and correct. This is an action item for an emerging issues request. This was a proposal that you received presentation for last week on Friday. We are putting this on the agenda for a vote under the emerging issues project protocol. We put a copy of that policy and process in your packets for today. The one thing to point out to you is that the emerging issues does require a vote of the affirmative vote from at least 60% of members present. And so I have done a quick check and it looks like we have 10 members logged in. And so that threshold would be 7. Right? 60% of 10? Yeah.
No, 6.
Yeah.
6, that is 6. Is it? How did I just do that? No, it's 60. I'm sorry. We have 16 people logged in. So there are 10 are needed. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
And they're still logged in.
And they're still, and I believe they are logged in and I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. And then the project proposer, Diana Carwin, is here in case there are any additional questions. And she also did follow up with some additional information about the timing and needs of her proposal. And that is in your packets as well.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to clarify, we're at 16 because there's still a vacancy in a Senate appointment. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, that is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And members, last week I'd asked the proposer who had presented for this round because we had moved the emerging issues proposal from January into the round. So it'd be considered if they could come back about what they absolutely needed for a timely to not have a gap in the important research where they're looking at the movement of prions in water. And I think as we're seeing water move everywhere right now, making sure that we have the research capacity to continue and not have a gap. So I would move that we authorize the emerging issue for activity 1, which is $163,267 for emerging issues. And then the members can consider the other activities as part of our normal process here that we just completed. So I would move for approval, the $163,267 for emerging issues. It's my understanding that would leave maybe $400,000 to $500,000 left of emerging issues from prior appropriations. And then there's an additional 800, I think, from this year's appropriations. So we would be keeping over $1 million in reserve of emerging issues for any further urgency. And if my math is incorrect, Ms. Nash, let me know.
Director Nash.
Madam Chair, I am not challenging you on your math, and I am not in a position to challenge anyone on math. Representative Hansen, I am just wondering if it would be possible to round up to the nearest 1,000 for budgeting purposes. We can't budget off of 1,000,
Yes.
So 164,000.
I would make that in the motion.
Okay. Is everybody clear on this motion? Are there comments on the motion? Representative Heinzman.
Yeah, I might have missed it, but thank you, Chair. I might have missed it, but not everyone had the benefit of yesterday's meeting. Has there been a more detailed description of what the project actually does?
Yes, we heard it last week. And then I'll ask Representative Hanson to, if you would like to go into more detail. Representative Hanson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Heinzman, if you look in your agenda item, project 04 C2, the 164,000 would include a field sampling plan for sampling based on prior reporting and hydrologic knowledge. Initial sampling during the summer high water flow season around April, May 2025, depending on snow conditions. This would allow to begin with the snow melt in April of 2025. And this would also provide for continued engagements who've been working with the project with interest groups, wildlife managers, watershed managers, state, tribal, local landowners, etc., with the MinPro outreach staff. So if we did not fund the emerging issues, I believe the prior appropriation from the Clean Water Fund ends. This would allow for this appropriation to provide for that research to continue this next winter if we approve the entire project as part of the process we're going to go through in the next month. Money would not become available until July 1, 2025. So the intent here of my motion would be to make sure we're essentially providing the bridge funding for the research sampling to continue with water samples next spring during the snow melt.
Representative Hanson, Heinzman, did you have a response? More questions?
Yes, thank you, Chair. More specifically, I know Representative Hanson was referring me back to the packet, and that's fine. My concern was that others might not have potentially read through all of the detail that he just mentioned. So I'm glad that's again available for those who are more interested in a discussion today. So thank you for that, Representative Hanson.
Okay, any other comments from commission members before we take a vote? Yes, Commissioner Peichel.
So the rounded budget numbers, would that be 164,000 and 323,000, or would we round up and round down? I'm just confused which way we're rounding.
Okay. Representative Hanson, do you want? How about?
Yeah, Madam
Director
Chair,
Nash?
Madam Chair, I was, just because we haven't had a chance to connect with the project manager about rounding down, and it is a small amount, but I was just giving them the benefit of rounding up that so that there was a little bit of wiggle room there. So I was proposing 164, and then we would just take that off of the total requested for the remainder.
All right, math intact.
Reese.
All right, Commissioner Reese.
Oh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to follow up from comments I made kind of in this space a week ago. I said it was a failure of the commission to not expedite emerging issues when they were like this, and I also said I'm not blaming staff. It's just the processes and mechanisms to doing that is something that the commission should address. And I subsequently had a discussion with Executive Director Nash and offered some suggestions, like bringing this to the executive committee or establishing an emerging issues committee so we could triage emerging issues, and the ones that are urgent, bring those to the commission much more expeditiously and try to get ahead of some of these issues before it's too late. So appreciate Executive Nash reaching out to me. Sorry if there was confusion about what I said regarding it's a failure. It's definitely not a failure of staff. I think we all understand that they're extremely busy at this point in time, but it is a failure on our part not to have these mechanisms in place, because that's what it's for. And I also appreciate Representative Hanson bringing this forward in seeing the urgency here. So thank you.
Okay, Senator Green.
I think mine is just a kind of a generic question, I think. Because I wasn't here on Friday, maybe this was addressed. is there any indication that they've already discovered some prions in water, or is this just like a theory?
Representative Hanson?
I believe the testifier is here. I'd like to get that on the
Yep.
record.
And she is here, right? Yep, okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have indication of prions moving kind of on sediment, so on that eroding soil that has left cervid farms that were positive and depopulated in 2 areas of the state. So one is in Beltrami County and one is near Winona in southeast Minnesota. So hence the request came forward to keep momentum rolling with this research. And I'm happy to answer additional questions as well.
Senator Green, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, and so, obviously this is gonna pass here today, so I guess the question is, will this give us, indication as far as how much? I mean, do you have the technology to say, this is, I know we measure stuff in parts per trillion now. So is it gonna give us the detailed data on how much and where?
Ms. Carvin?
So yes, thank you very much for that question. And a bit of my background. So I'm a hydrologist and I study water quality and I'm a part of the MinPro team. And so it's this, I very much appreciate your question because I'm quite used to studying stuff in concentrations. And so right now our technology allows us to indicate presence or absence. We are not yet at the ability to give it in like PPT or PPB, like you may be used to seeing with other contaminants, such as like PFAS or sediments or metals, et cetera. The presence absence is a strong indicator in kind of the state of science where it's at right now. What we have found, and if you'll allow me, I'll just give another tidbit. Since you said you weren't available last week, one of the big scientifically exciting advances we found in MinPro is when there is sediment in the water, so like the floaty soil flex and the sediment flex, the prion prefers to attach to that sediment. So what this has allowed us to do is hone into a family of water quality contaminants to look at for where to look for the prion. And that is a big part of what is beyond this ask, to continue merging that with water quality work.
Follow-up? Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the commission members? Seeing none. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Time to take a vote.
May I also?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but
Director Nash.
Madam Chair, may I also ask that the motion include giving approval to staff, authority to staff to approve the work plan so that once they're ready, the work plan is ready, we can get going as I think we've done with past emerging issues proposals.
That is my intent included in the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Diana, would you take the roll call or vote?
Gibson.
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Hanson.
Yes.
Hanson, yes. Her,
Yes.
her, yes. Acom.
Her, yes.
Acom, yes. Acom, yes. Albrecht.
Albright, yes.
Albrecht, yes. Backer.
Backer, yes.
Backer, yes. Faber.
Faber, aye.
Faber, yes. Green.
Yes.
Green, yes. Heinzman.
Yes.
Heinzman, yes. Collins. Yes. Collins, yes. Langseth.
Yes.
Langseth, yes. Moore.
Or yes.
Moore, yes. Pikel.
Pikel, yes.
Pikel, yes. Putnam.
Yes.
Putnam, yes. Reese.
Yes.
Reese, yes. Westrom. Westrom. Currently, there are 15 yes, 0 no.
All right, thank you. The motion prevails. Last item, do we have any public testimony?
Evidently, we did miss the minute.
No, I
The
didn't.
minute. Did we do we didn't do the minutes. We
No,
did
we
do the
did.
minutes?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got no.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
did we vote
did.
on them?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we did.
Okay.
We
I
did.
got a note.
No, we did approve the minutes.
Did we? Okay.
All right, for both days.
Okay, and if not, we'll come back next meeting to do it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's been a long
We've
bit.
all been
Yeah,
multitasking.
no, I know. Yeah. Is there any public testimony?
No.
Okay, so it seemed, thank you, everybody. We've had a lot of good projects. You know, the evaluations are due, July 10th. You want to add anything to that, Director Nash?
We'll follow up with you on a couple adjustments that need to be made before you finalize those evaluations. And then I think, Madam Chair of the subcommittee, would you like to reconvene at 12:30?
Yeah, Commissioner.
12:15.
Okay. All right, with that, the meeting is adjourned.